Joining us now from Seattle, Washington, is the guy who runs this operation, USA Facts, Steve Ballmer. You may know him. Used to run Microsoft, owns the LA Clippers, and we're pleased to have him on. So obviously your goal is to try to get information to the American people. Do you think you're getting through?
I think there are people with whom we are getting through. We have 250,000 newsletter readers. We know we're getting millions of people visiting our site over the course of the last 5-6 years. Very proud of that. With that said, is the overall theme in the country grounded in numbers? No. We're going to work on that. We're going to do our part for that. But there's so much more work to do.
All right. When you see in your organization, USA Facts, and we want everybody to go there and check it out for themselves. When you see Trump, Biden, Harris say an untruth, I'll give you an example. So Biden said, when I took over as president, the inflation rate was 9%. And the truth was it was 1.5%. Do you take that on? Because if you do, then the Biden people are going to label you a partisan. And if you do it to Trump, they're going to label you a liberal. You see what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. And we don't put ourselves in the explicit position of fact checking and reporting on the facts. We do report the facts. We leave it to others to hold people to account. My experience is there's two ways to construe things that are not helpful. Of course, it's not okay to take a number that's incorrect and put it out there. But the second way, and a little bit more insidious, is for people to pick numbers to talk about, give them no context, and then let people think they are much larger than they might be or much smaller than they might be if you look at it in the context of history or a broader perspective, if you will.
Okay, so you're going to provide not only the facts, but the context, which you did in your commercial about undocumented migrants by saying, look, the backlog is now 2.5 million people. You can't adjudicate that within 5 years. You couldn't. It's impossible. But the Biden administration would never tell you that, so I'm telling you that. When you do this, you are setting yourself up against the corporate media, which now traffics in propaganda all day, every day. And I don't know how much you know about me, but we've been doing that campaign now for years. And we call them on it all the time. And they do it constantly. And because there are so many more liberal outlets on television and conservative outlets, because conservatives do it too, all right, that there's this wave of propaganda coming out. And Americans who don't pay close attention, they're overwhelmed by it, in my opinion. They're overwhelmed by it. Do you see it that way?
I do. I think that we have reduced things to sound bites. People will just grab a single number. I don't think that's at all helpful in the grand scheme of things. But whether it's folks like you or many others, including individual citizens, here are the numbers. We're not going to give you any forecasts, any of that. We're just going to report what did happen. How can that possibly be partisan? And then hopefully ground the discussion and debate in those numbers. And if you want to use them to fact check, great. If somebody else wants to use them to make their case about what should happen, great. If a citizen wants to say, I'm not being spoken to honestly, so to speak,
yeah,
great. Then they vote on that basis.
Okay. You must have a tremendous research staff to make sure you get it right. Right? You mean be paying these guys some money to ferret out all this BS, because it's not easy to do that, as you know.
Well, we only use government data. So we start with over 70 government databases to do our work. Now, you could say, is the government data accurate? I say we have professional people in our statistical agencies. We choose to trust them. Occasionally, government numbers don't match other government numbers. We see that particularly when numbers get rolled up from state governments, and then we have to, sort of pick which set of numbers to represent.
And
so
that's
our core
difficult.
Data,
So
it is, and we footnote it. We let people know what we've done. We have no interest in hiding the football, so to speak. And so our core data is government data. Then
okay.
on top of that, we synthesize, we fact check ourselves. In fact, we're also looking at automated ways to double fact check ourselves using some of the new
AI
AI
way.
technology.
Wow.
We're not going to totally trust it, but we're going to
But
use every tool at
let
our
me play
disposal.
devil's advocate here, because in the crime area, the federal stats coming out of Quantico, Virginia with the FBI have fallen apart. Fallen apart. You can't trust them anymore because the cities are not required to report. So the FBI isn't getting a full picture because most of the crime in this country is generated in the cities, in urban areas. And a lot of cities are going, we're not sending you data, so you can't report crime stats. Meanwhile, both parties, both Trump and Kamala, are running wild with, no, crime went down, crime is up, crime is it, and there's no stats to back it. That might be a good segment for you to explain why there's no stats to back it.
There are, let me challenge a little bit.
Sure.
Most cities do report, which is great. Are there common definitions across cities
No.
of crimes?
No.
On that, I agree with you. What is a violent crime can look different across jurisdictions. I agree with you.
That's exactly what's happening in the nation's largest city, New York, where the violent crime is pleaded down to misdemeanors. In the majority of cases, you punch somebody in the face, Rick Moranis, the actor, and thousands of others, and the thug is charged with disorderly conduct, which doesn't even make it into the FBI database. So anyway, I just want to bring it to your attention. I know I'm too emotional about this. Final question. Go ahead.
There are imperfections. I'm not disagreeing.
This is the biggest one, though.
Is to attribute. Oh, I can give you one. I can give you ones that I think missing data. I can give you, the fact that we can't totally match up what the states report and what the Census Bureau reports and what the Bureau of Economic Analysis reports on state spending. There are definitely things that don't hook up perfectly or are imperfect.
Yeah, I know, but
come from the states.
I'm willing to overlook.
Should the feds have more tools?
Right.
Should the feds have more tools? I don't know. Our next step, Bill, is to actually go get the crime data from the local jurisdictions and try to normalize it.
Wow.
It's a step beyond for us right now.
Right.
But
that's going to be hard.
It will be. I'm not going to deny that.
Chicago, New York, and LA are not going to want to give you those stats. You're going to have to break in the middle of the night and get them, or the AI people. Final question. You're a very successful American, obviously. Microsoft, and you got the Clippers, and you're very wealthy. And this country, I assume, has done right by you. You're a patriot. You love the country. You understand the opportunity it affords almost everybody. I am so furious about the collapse of the media, the corruption in the corporate media. I can't tell you how furious I am. But I don't think everybody else sees it the way I do because I've invested my life into this profession. And I've watched it go down to a degree now where my operation, the most successful independent news operation in the world, we have millions of people depending on me to get them information they cannot get from the corporate media, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, whatever it may be. They can't get the information because they're all ideologically driven. Drives me nuts. Do you feel my pain?
It drives me nuts too. I would say depth journalism with numbers and context. I just think in today's world, people don't have the time or not given the time and resources to dig in and do
No,
things
they can't.
what I might call
Right.
the right way. Now, in a way, I don't fault anybody because that's the requirements of the business, but that's the opportunity we see. It's an opportunity, obviously, that you see is to try to do things with accuracy and depth that is important that people might not otherwise get to.
Yeah, you have to have it because we're not going to have a democracy. And that's true, not the propaganda stuff. All right, the website we want everyone to go all over the world, because we are all over the world now, is USA Facts. It's a .org, right? usafacts.org?
.org.
Okay, that's easy. Check out Steve's operation. He's not trying to sell anything to you. You make a determination on whether it's worthy or not. Really appreciate your time, Steve. You're welcome. Got anything new? You got anything you want to get out there? You let us know, okay?
Will do. Appreciate the time, and good luck to you.
Right. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on X. Look for @Bill O'Reilly.